Hello.
Hello. Hey. How's it going, everybody? I guess I'm going to go around the room and talk to some people. I'm going to start with our city leader here in Seattle, Amelia.
Hey, I'm Amelia. I'm the city's lead for Founders Life Seattle. Thanks so much for tuning in. Around the collective to be able to feel like you're here, walk safely from your home in your sweatpants.
It's fantastic. Amelia, point me to somebody to go to here.
Okay, let's see. Louis.
Louise?
Juan,
right here.
One of our presenters. Say hello to our virtual audience.
Hi, Juan.
How's it going?
Great. Which company are you?
I'm part of Lalo.
Lalo.
Yes.
And what's Lalo?
So Lalo is a platform focused on remembrance and grief.
Awesome. Are you nervous? Excited? What is?
It's kind of a mix of both. I'm just excited to be around real people without a mask.
Is this awesome? Or
Yeah,
what?
I'm like got way overdressed, and I'm like, why not?
I know exactly. Yeah. Like we got nice shoes on. We got great. Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. See ya. Is this Melissa? Melissa.
Hello.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi, Melissa. Who the heck are you?
I'm the pitch coach.
The pitch coach. What does a pitch coach do?
I help the presenters, instead of just saying problem and solution, I actually help them find a story, a narrative that they can tell that shows the problem, shows the solution. So you're going to see a lot stories today.
Awesome.
And pictures too.
Are they ready?
They're ready.
They're ready.
They're rocking.
All right.
I'm super excited about this.
Awesome. You're the best.
No, you're the best.
All right. Let's see who else we can find over here. How about Nick Ellingson from WTIA?
How are you?
Hey, Nick. How you
Hello.
doing?
Fantastic.
This is great.
Oh, good.
Who are you with?
Hello, Founders Live. I'm with Founders Live pretty much.
You're a Founders Live, but you also do something
I'm with the
else.
Washington Technology Industry Association. Look it up. Best organization on the planet. I've had a burn sheet before. But it started to get
Fantastic. Are you gonna be speaking later?
pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Probably a minute or two anyway.
Probably.
Awesome.
I have an act ready.
That's great. Thanks, Nick.
See if I can remember my bad jokes from before.
Can I interrupt you for a little live video here? We're live. Absolutely. Aren't you one of the presenters tonight?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So what's your company?
My company name is Bright, and we're an edtech space.
Awesome. Are you excited? Nervous?
I am excited. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like being around people?
You know, it's actually I'm still kind of getting used to it. Right? This is the first event after like a year and a half of being like in the four walls in my office at home.
Perfect. Well, I like your haircut. I think you're going to do
Thank
great.
you. Yeah. I know. It's the best.
Thanks. Let's see. Who else?
2 years.
Giving you some backstage tour here. What's all this?
We've got indigenous handmade masks and bandanas, as well as bracelets. Yeah, most of this is from Guatemala, but we also have some masks. These ones that are from Paraguay. Yeah, we're from Ideation.
That's fantastic. Are you presenting?
We're not presenting.
Okay, you're just
a vendor.
helping out and doing a vending. This is awesome
Oh, yeah.
stuff. It's very colorful.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. All handmade, all made with indigenous textiles. So we get all this stuff here.
Fantastic. Thanks, man. And now I think we're going to talk to one of the founders of Black Box. Tell us.
All right, we are a black boxes that items from companies are black owned to help contribute to closing the wealth gap. So we want to bring people from empathy to action, and fighting racism and buying black is one way to do that.
That's awesome. The Ally League is a past winner of Seattle. Is that correct?
Yep, we won in April. Yep.
That's right. Awesome. But you do have a great haircut. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Who else can we find?
You're helping
Nick? All right.
Ready to coach?
Yeah, turn me off. I think we're ready.
All right.
Call of Duty. What's up?
One of my business supplies.
Okay, guys. Testing. Okay, we are gonna get going in just a minute here. Take one last second to refill your drink, find a place to sit, and we'll get started with Dave Parker in just 1 minute.
How we doing?
That was so hard. You are super watching it all out. Great energy, great idea. Great feel, great thinking of where you're going and how you're doing it. Thank you. Check back with me because I'd like you to see me out over there so I've got eyes on you. Okay, and then you can just wave at me.
Okay, welcome to Founders Live Seattle, our very first hybrid event ever. So thank you so much for being here. We are live streaming on YouTube right now. We have a ton of audience members. Hello, thanks for being here. So just heads up, we are trying out something totally new, never done before, with a hybrid stream live in-person event. So you guys are here for the very first one. That said, we might have a couple hiccups. Just roll with us. We're all friends. We're all having a good time. So thank you for being here. We're going to jump in and talk to Dave Parker really quick. Before we do that, real quick plug. We have some awesome entrepreneurs here today selling their products. So How to Make a Nation has these handmade masks. They're fantastic. If you need a mask, grab one. Also, the Ally League, which is a winner of Founders Live Seattle a couple months ago, has this awesome black box. This is all companies that won or pitched at Founders Live. So there's a t-shirt, you have chocolate, really good smelling candles, a gift card to Jackson's Catfish Corner. So $100, check them out. If you're watching the live stream, we're gonna send out in the email the link for you guys, so you'll get that later. Definitely check those out after the pitches, the black box from the Ally League and How to Make a Nation is selling masks. All right, so we're here with the Dave Parker. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. This is like in real life, it's crazy. Like, it's so good to see you all. This is amazing. So we did one event in Wenatchee for the Flywheel Conference about a month ago. And it was walking into a room that had like 100 people with an open bar and a buffet table. It was so weird. I didn't know what to do. So.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. It is so fun to get to high five and hug and see our old friends and meet a bunch of new friends. Is this your very first Founders Live? Anyone?
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
You guys are in it now. That was me like 4 or 5 years ago. So Dave, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You wrote this fantastic book.
I did.
I love it. Highly recommend. Can you just tell us a little about yourself? Who's Dave Parker? Why is he writing a book?
Yeah, great question. So, 5-time founder. Started my first company in 1998. If you guys remember that season, it was, Jeff B and Bill G weren't really participating in the community very much at that point. Not that they are now, but so the ecosystem, people will often look at the ecosystem in Seattle and go, the ecosystem's not as good as Silicon Valley. I'm like, oh my God, you should have been here in 98. Like, things have really improved. We have things like Founders Live that's happening. Things like Startup Weekend, which I got to be COO of. So started 5 companies, sold 3 companies. So So Bob's back there. I'll start about Startup Haven later. So the ecosystem's definitely developed a lot over time. I think we all as founders still look at Seattle and go like, oh, we don't have enough angel investors. Yeah. Oh, we don't have enough venture capital investors. There's a bunch of new ones now, if you haven't noticed, actually. Some of them are here tonight. So, so it's changed a lot. So sold 3 of them, closed 2 of them. You learn more on the failures than the successes. No big surprise. And then went to work for Startup Weekend. And if you hadn't been to Startup Weekend, we did these events globally. And we ran 2,600 events. My last full year, there was 74,000 attendees. And it was one of these crazy things. And you see people come out of a weekend event and you're like, we've met our founders, soulmates. We're going to leave our day jobs and go start a startup. And I'm like, oh my God, before you do, there's some things you can know. And here's what I would want you to know if it was me. So that was the nature of the book, and kind of where it started was both that, and then I ran it as a seminar program called 6 Month Startup, which, by the way, will start again in November. And kind of taking away and figuring out what do founders really need to know before they take the leap and leave their day job. So how do we help you minimize your odds of failure?
Yeah. So who is this book really intended for? Is it just founders, and kind of what's the content and how you put it together? Yeah,
for sure. So the thesis of the book is ideation to product market fit. So what makes a good idea all the way through getting ready for funding and fundraising and getting to the mystical thing of product market fit. It's not mystical, by the way, it's math. So when a VC says, it really kind of depends. No, it doesn't. It's math. So just know that, so if you don't know what product market fit is, we'll help you define it. It's not that hard. So there are no unicorns or butterfly farts involved. It's just math. So that's the thesis there was what makes a good idea? How do I get to market? What's my go-to-market plan? And it's very much around executing on those things to improve your odds of success. So the thing I always tell people is that with a startup, there's 1,000 things that can kill you. I can't help you with all of those, but if I can compress the time that you do it in and help you navigate, it's kind of like a hack in a game, right? You're like, I keep dying at the same spot, and the answer is 70 to 90% of startups fail. Don't be a statistic. So this hopefully will get you through some of that.
Yeah, I love this book. I can tell that you have so much experience that you pushed into this. What was the spark that were like, I got to write a book?
Well, I think part of it is I told people I was going to write a book, and after a while they're like, aren't you on like book 4 by now? Because it took me so long. The other thing that was the motivator behind it was we did this, we started doing a study. So some founder came to me, I wish I could remember who it was, and said, hey, can I have a copy of your financial model? And I was like, well, mine's B2B subscription and yours is a B2C marketplace, and those are fundamentally different. So it had me ask the question, like, how many revenue models are there? So at the time, the CEO of Crunchbase was a friend, and they didn't have their API. So I said, give me a list of like every seed-funded company over the last 18 months globally. Sounded like a good, And so it ended up being 2,654 companies. And we track those companies over a 5-year longitudinal study. Come to find out, there's 14 revenue models. So hopefully your idea is unique, but how you make money, it's never unique. So if you come up with a 16th, by the way, I'm happy to write about it. But so I've ended up becoming the business model geek. So like for good or for bad.
Yeah, I love it. I love the kind of scientific approach you take. One of the things that we often hear as entrepreneurs is just fail fast. And that's something you pushed against in this book. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, fail fast is a product of Silicon Valley. There's a great book about the Valley. It says, there's a bunch of great books about the Valley. One of them is that if you have a rich uncle, you can afford to fail fast. So I was raised by a single mom on food stamps. So our mantra was, failure is not an option. Anybody have that one? All right. So for those of us who are failure is not an option, the answer is fail fast is a dumbass idea. You should kill bad ideas fast. That's totally makes sense. So the idea that I outline in the book is what's the framework for success? How do you do it? And then how do you test those things, as Bob Crimmins would say, so you have a cogent story, right? Not that you're going to be everything at launch. You have to be very focused at launch on what you're doing. So fail fast is an example of somebody who has has a rich uncle who's in real estate. For us mere mortals, the answer is kill bad ideas fast, save enough room to pivot to a new idea, hopefully in a better market.
So some entrepreneurs are working on their idea for months, years, decades. How long do you think people need to spend putting this together with this book?
I think you can probably get through, there's about 28 deliverables in the book. So we did this as a 3-day boot camp in the Middle East, and so I just did a program 2 weeks ago in Abu Dhabi, over virtual. But you can do it in 4 to 6 months, depending on whether you have a day job or not. So if you have a team and you have a product already, you can crank through the deliverables in about 4 months. If you don't have a team and you're solo and you have a job and a family and a life and all that kind of stuff, it's probably going to take you at least 6 months to get through it, just because you have to do the customer development interviews. So you can't bypass those things. And literally, the faster you get through them, the more velocity your startup will have. The longer you take to do them, right? So I remember my son, who's now 27, we went to I think our very first startup weekend. I think he was 16, and he's like, "Dad, there was a lot of really dumb ideas in there," right? And then I ran into one of those dumb ideas like a few months later, and I'm like, "Are you working on the same idea?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like, how long have you been working on it? He's like, 7 years. I'm like, "Oh my God, don't do 8." So I'm a little bit less pedantic now. Bob's helped coach me on that. I'm a little less judgy than I used to be. I try to help you discover your own reason of why you think it's a bad idea, right? Rather than me just tell you it's a bad idea. But so if you, as a founder, and you're sitting in, you're online, you're hanging out, if you don't have a form of traction and validation in 6 months, it's one of two things. One is either it's a bad idea in your heart and you're not doing the effort. The second is life happens and you just get in the way, right? It's like when I started my first company, my wife was diagnosed 2 weeks after I left my job with cancer. She's fine today, but we did go through 6 months of chemo and a month of radiation, and right. So life happens, and life doesn't care about your startup. So just so you know, so yeah, if you can't get through it in 6 months and don't have a start of traction, I would encourage you to pick a new idea. Like save some energy, but don't go mortgage your house because you know that everybody else in the world is wrong, and you just have to second mortgage your house and prove to them that they're wrong. Not a good thesis.
This is excellent advice for us all. And I am going to give everyone a chance to ask some questions at the end. So if you have questions for Dave, if you could make your way kind of up that corner right there, we'll try to get your questions answered. But I don't want you to give away the whole book right now because people are supposed to buy it and read it and get it signed. But what do you do outside of writing this book?
Yeah, good question. So my 20% time is community time. Sometimes that goes to 80% time. So Nick from WTA and I work together on the WTA cohort program and all the startup stuff we do there. I do sell-side merger and acquisition work is my day job. So helping founders land the deal they started is super important. I'm a random angel investor, which sadly makes me an active angel investor in Seattle. But so occasionally I do that, but that's how I spend the bulk of my time. And it's good because it's very bursty, right? So when I'm not working on a deal, I can be working on community stuff. So I've been, the last 18 months during the pandemic, most of my cohort work has been with underrepresented founders. So I'm doing a project right now for an amazing group of women out of Atlanta called the Fearless Fund. So 3 African-American women investing in Black and brown women. And they're like, would you help us? I'm like, yes, you had me at hello. Like, that is awesome. Like, I'm in. So trying to really make entrepreneurship more accessible. So we'll start the next version of 6 Month Startup in November. So if you're thinking about, like, hopefully Perkins Coie hasn't committed to dates yet, but we haven't penciled in. So we'll start doing it here, but most of my stuff now is done internationally and around underrepresented founders.
That's awesome. One of the stats from the book that really stuck out to me was with 2.7% of VC funding goes to women-led companies, and what'd you say, 3.1% go to white guys named Dave?
Yeah, it's a sad statistic, actually. I think it's 2.9. It kind of varies a little bit. We did have last quarter was the largest percentage of funding of Black and brown founders ever. It quadrupled. Sadly, it's still incredibly low. So one of my requirements, because people will ask after this, I'll be preemptive about it. Hey, can I meet you for coffee or virtual coffee? And my answer is absolutely. The one question I'm going to caveat it with is, tell me who you're mentoring who doesn't look like you. That's my request. So, and that definitely screens the field for a lot of folks. But you can actually find somebody who's one chapter behind you in the book, right? You're good at product, they're good at marketing, you're good at tech, they're good at go-to-market. Find somebody who doesn't look like you and mentor them. So, and then with that, I'm happy to support you in any way I can. So most of my time right now is spent, though, helping people who actually don't have access to the same stuff that white dudes named Dave have access to.
Well, I know that I appreciate and everyone else appreciates what you're doing. If you have a question for Dave, come line up. And while you guys are getting lined up with your questions, can you talk a little bit about why Seattle? You've obviously worked internationally. Seattle entrepreneurial ecosystem has some reputation, good and bad. So why are you hanging out here?
Well, I live in Woodinville, so home's here. I grew up in Portland and went to the University of Washington, so this is my hood. I can find me at Dave Parker SEA is my Twitter and everything else handle. So I'm a local. There's lots great here about the ecosystem. There's lots here that we need to continue to build on. Bob's a great example with Startup Haven and his new venture fund. We got to stand on the shoulders of giants, of people like Artie Burke, and the program for the entrepreneurship school at UW's named after Artie, right? So without those shoulders of giants that we got to stand on, it wouldn't be as good as it is today. And then you all get to carry the ball forward, right? Because when you grow your company, exit your company, reinvest, I'd encourage you to think about investing 10% of the proceeds of whatever you sell back into the startup ecosystem here in the community. Seattle has the highest proportion of nonprofit foundations on a per capita basis of anywhere in the country, which means people made their money at Microsoft or Amazon or wherever, and then they bought a boat and they bought a place in the San Juans and they retired, right? And the thing the Valley has that we don't have is that idea of recycled capital. So the thing that we're doing at WTIA is how do we keep founders together and form a cohort so that when you graduate and sell your company, we're like, oh yeah, we've known each other for 10 years. I'm going to reinvest in your company. So keeping that cohort together is my encouragement to you, and that's why we do it. It's by the way, it's no cost to you as founders. It doesn't cost any equity. It doesn't cost any money. Our goal is to help you navigate the ecosystem in 6 months instead of 18 or 24 months, because time is the most valuable resource you have in your life. I have made back money I have lost. I cannot get back the time I have lost. So, and at my age, I appreciate that, right? So I'm fighting it off by cycling as much as I can and everything else. So that's my, trying to extend it as long as possible. So, you had a question?
Come on up, Gary.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about Seattle, because I as a founder, when I first got into this community a couple of years ago, I was like, wow, this is really robust. Like, I had no idea this was here. So there's 14 business models. Is there like a top 3?
Well, so the thing we broke down in the book with the 14 models basically goes from services to commerce to marketplaces, et cetera. So the top 3 would really be the ones that give you the highest return on your investment. So the data behind that is super interesting. So let's say we start a services company. We do $1 million a year in revenue. That services company is worth roughly $1 million. But we do $1 million a year in subscription revenue. That business model is worth roughly $8 to $12 million a year in revenue. So when I go to sell that company for you, right, we'll sell that company for $12, $13 million. So the answer is, based on return on investment, I would highly encourage you to think about subscription models, and also the new one in that sequence was called metered service. So AWS and Azure are great examples of metered services businesses like Twilio. Those companies trade in the 30 to 40 times revenue. So it's twice as good as subscription. Not every business can be that, but if you can choose your revenue model, I would encourage you to choose a revenue model that has a great multiple at exit. So knowing what I know now, I look back on a couple of mine and go like, I wish I would have known that the first go around, for sure. So great question.
Got it. Follow-up question. If you have, if your revenue model is not to exit, but just to build revenue in a company, is that also included in the book?
Yeah, so we outline all of them, from services to things like lead generation. So there's some more obscure ones. And there's also some revenue models that only work at scale. So for example, advertising is a great example of, if you're like, we're gonna go advertising, the answer is, that's awesome. Tell me how you're gonna get to 1 million uniques a month. Because short of 1 million uniques, the answer is that model doesn't work, right? So, so it covers everything from services, productize the service, commerce. So, and combination models are actually quite effective. So somebody like Smartsheet in Bellevue has a combination model where they have service revenue plus subscription revenue, and they're publicly traded, and the market doesn't hammer them for that. So it's actually combinations are a good option.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Nick, come on up. I bet you have a good question.
This feels like a weird setup.
I have a question I haven't asked you before.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so
I feel like I have to
I'm in
stand
camera.
up. So
Well, I hope I'm in camera.
exactly.
Will I look now? So you've seen many a startup ecosystem
Yes.
globally. What makes Seattle unique? What do you love about Seattle? What can Seattle do better?
That's a great
And
question.
I'm asking Seattle specifically, not like just Washington.
Yeah. So I think that the thing that makes us unique is the people. And I was talking with somebody before the session. Bob and I were talking about medical. You know, why is not medical great here? Most of the time, each city has a DNA based on where people have made money before. So the Valley has made money in lots of areas. So they do B2B, they do B2C. We do mostly enterprise, and we have a great wireless history. So people who've made money in those industries before tend to invest in those industries. So in Seattle, you can look at it and go like, we don't have a strong sales culture in Seattle, right? So unlike Silicon Valley, which had Salesforce and you know, a bunch of other companies that are really great marketing machines and sales machines. So we tend to have a DNA of where people have made money, and we reinvest in those categories. So if you're doing a B2C company, the answer is Seattle a great place for it? The answer is not really, right? So if you know your lane here, I'd say that's a good part. What's unique about Seattle is, you know, as a place to call home and a quality of place, I think we've got a lot of bad rap over the last year and a half for 6 blocks of the Chop, which is awesome, great news for some people, and bad news sells. At the same time, the article I saw from GeekWire last week about, instead of brain drain, we have, you know, the fact that more people are moving here, more smart people. Love you all, glad you're here, make Seattle a better place. I think the one drawback that we can improve on is the thing I mentioned earlier about, you know, I sell my company, I buy a boat, and I retire. Like the engagement after exiting, whether it's stock options from Microsoft or Amazon or startups, is people tend to go do their own things because we're kind of Western individualists, right? And that's kind of our mantra about it. But ultimately, we thrive in a community, right? Which is the thing that I've watched globally, and people are trying to, you know, everybody looks at the next biggest ecosystem and says, oh, we want to be like Vancouver, BC, looks at us and says, we want to be like Seattle. No one ever looks backwards and says, oh, how do we help Portland, right? Which is where I grew up, right? Or how do we help Vancouver and turn this into Cascadia, right? So I think that piece of it is the community piece that we're both good at and not good at times. We kind of ebb and flow in that one.
Well,
So
apparently, I'm from Seattle, but apparently the Seattle freeze is real. So
that's what I hear. Yeah, and we're trying to buck against it. So.
I'm happy to be friends with all of you. So
And he's a hugger, just so you know.
yeah, for better or worse.
Nick's the best. Be his friend. Come on up.
I grew up here. The Seattle freeze is totally real.
Yeah,
I don't know any of my neighbors. So I have like a kind of a nerdy question.
Sure.
Maybe dumb, but there's 14 business models.
Uh-huh.
Do you foresee a fifth team in the future? Like, is there one that's
a
could
great
exist?
question. Well, so let me give you the looking back first. So during the 5 years we studied the data set, there was a couple of new ones. Actually, technically, well, there's one that was ending and 2 new ones. So everybody remember Groupon? Okay, so Groupon was a new revenue model. Everyone remember how many copycats there were? Lots, right? So the takeaway there is that revenue models aren't defensible. Aha. So they ultimately became commerce and lead gen. So to go back to the data set question, so in the book I list a B2B and a B2C example of all the revenue models, and a friend of mine challenged to say, have you looked at the publicly traded comps? So we built a list of first 207 publicly traded tech companies, and then we ran it against the S&P 500 index too, which I won't go into tonight because it's even more geeky. But the aha in there is that, you guys know Snowflake in Bellevue? Snowflake's an outlier, cloud first company, totally metered service. They traded 147 times revenues. Crazy market cap. Remember Groupon? 0.47 times revenues. So which business do you want to run at the end of the day, right? So definitely the aha takeaway from it. So there's definitely models that were new during that time. Groupon was declining, Twilio and metered services was going up. Then there was this new model called coins and tokens. Remember those ones? Ends up it's not a revenue model, right? It was a funding mechanic that the SEC said didn't work. Revenue models require metrics and conversion metrics. Coins and tokens weren't that. So if there's a new one, the answer is I'm totally happy to write about it, and I'm super geeky about it anyway. So I was like, oh, Bitcoin mining is one right now. This super outlier, by the way, above Snowflake. Interestingly enough, there's a company who used to be a patent troll who converted into a Bitcoin mining company. I would technically short that one. Not that I have or am recommending any stock advice to anybody online. So I'm just saying, but yeah, the data of the 207 is really interesting and telling. So there is an argument to build a venture capital fund that focuses just on highly tuned subscription businesses and metered services companies. If I was to have a thesis, I would, if you looked at my public portfolio, you would see they highly align that way. So yeah, great question.
Thanks. Okay, Christopher, you may have the last question unless a woman wants to come up. I'll slate you in. I would love to see it. Love the guys,
Yeah.
but ladies, come on, get up here with me. Christopher, come on down.
So obviously, you know, being a founder is challenging in its own right, let alone to make it a successful business, you know, make it, right? In the last year and a half, there's been some extra layers of uncertainty and challenges that we've all been facing. Is there any advice that you can say? I mean, obviously you have a roadmap and a way of navigating some of these things. Is there anything that you can see or suggest or kind of give us insight into to kind of help with this new layer of complexity that we're all going to be facing as founders?
Yeah, I think in the early days, the dialogues were, you know, keep runway, look for where there's tailwinds, look for where there's headwinds, and pivot if you need to. I think the big thing coming out of this is going to be about people, right? So a bunch of people who rage quit and right, looking for new people. So I think one of the things that I talked about in the book is I think having great culture is secondary to having product market fit. And the reason is the math here is simple. If you don't have product market fit, you don't have a company, right? But having a great culture and a place people want to come to work is really, really important. And that involves transparency and communications. And I think those companies that come back from COVID with a sense of, you know, how do we really engage our team first? Like it's not a family, right? And I think that's, in case it was an aha lesson during that, it's like, your startup isn't a family, because when you have to lay people off in family, you never get to do that.
Absolutely.
But you also have the weird uncle that shows up at Thanksgiving on your family too, which is sometimes that's a downside. Yeah, sometimes you'd like to be that way. So I think coming back, I think it's going to be all about people and really being genuine to who you are. And I will tell you that vision, mission, and values, those things are not things that are like, that's not my strongest sweet spot in this area I'm working on, to have like, is my personal vision aligned with where I want to engineer the rest of my life sort of stuff.
Where's your confidence level that the tech companies in these cities are going to grasp what you just said? Like, is the ROI of what you just discussed going to translate in real, actual?
Yeah. For some, the answer is no, right? And we saw some big booms in companies who paid well, but were not great places to work,
Yeah.
And I think you see that in the rage quitting and the Glassdoor scores, right? So I think the Glassdoor scores will be telling over the next 6 months. Your ability as a founder to go recruit people and give them opportunities to grow. It's hard as a founder to do that because you're like, I'm trying to put out a fire over here, and somebody's like, what's my career development opportunity here? And we're like, there's 6 of us. The answer is take on more challenges. I can't, like, I don't have there's nobody leading your department. If you'd like to be it, grow into it, right? So I think that it's both a good and a bad for you as founders, or for all of us as founders. But I think big companies will have some huge challenges going forward in recruitment for sure.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks.
Yeah, pleasure.
Absolutely.
All right, we have time for one last question. Annie, come on up.
Annie, thank you for coming
Yes,
out.
let's give Annie a round of applause. Just hold this. Go ahead and ask.
Can I stop really quick first? Your dad's awesome. Just so you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're part of that. So go ahead, ask your question.
By the way, does my voice sound weird in the microphone?
Nope, your voice it always sounds weird to ourselves until we get used to it, just so you know.
Okay.
Like it'll take a few years and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that's the way my voice sounds, but it sounds weird when it's amplified. So it still sounds weird to me, so you know. My voice, not yours.
I was wondering, what's your favorite color?
What's my favorite color? Well, it's blue. So my bike is blue, my shirt's blue. I'm looking for a blue car right now. So definitely blue. So my guys are kind of green, but you know, I'd go with blue, generally speaking. So awesome. Thank you for asking a question. You're great.
Thanks, Andy. Great question. All right, Dave, thank you so much. It's so good to hug people again. Oh my gosh. Yes. All right, thank you so much, Dave. I hope that you guys will check out his book, Startup Trajectory Startup. Dave is awesome. Check out his book. They'll be available for sale afterwards. We are all here to hear some pitches. Before we do that, we got to hear from the people who make this event possible, right? Founders Live is a community. We have sponsors who make this possible for all of us to come together. So first up, I want to introduce Alex from The Collective. So The Collective is obviously where we're at now. Pretty biased, but it's the coolest. Alex, tell us what that's about.
Thank you. Hi. We're so excited to be hosting you all in person again. And I see a lot of familiar faces, which is awesome. But I do like to ask for a show of hands. How many of you prior to today have never been into The Collective or heard of us? Oh, a lot of new faces. Awesome. For those of you not familiar, we are a membership community and social club aimed at getting folks connected around shared passions, really striking that balance between productivity and community and connection. We are sitting in just one half of the space. We really occupy the entire ground floor of this building. But as you might have noticed, we've got the wellness component with the bouldering wall and Peloton bikes. The other side, we have a full restaurant and bar, and lots of great programming to get everybody connected, including we actually have a startup circle so that entrepreneurs in our community have an opportunity to share resources and connect. As you might have seen, there are some flyers around the space that are inviting you all to a day pass. So I would love to invite any of you in who are curious to learn a little bit more, to show you through the space with a tour, and then have you here for a day pass. I'll be here for a bit this evening as well if you have questions, and happy to have you here.
Thanks so much, Alex. Thank you to The Collective. This is the coolest spot. We're hopefully going to be back here a bunch. Next up, let's hear from Nick Ellingson from WTIA, the Washington Technology Industry Association. Come on up.
Hello, welcome to In-Person Founders Live. Can I give can we get some round of applause for Amelia for making us all come back? This has been awesome. As Dave said, I'm a hugger, so for all of you who I've met previously, you have probably had to deal with that tonight. For those who I have not, I have comfortable shoulders, come give me a hug. Otherwise, I work for the Washington Technology Industry Association. We are a nonprofit that supports tech companies in Washington. Dave gave a pretty good PSA for us, but for startups, we provide stage-appropriate resources. So show of hand, who's here as a founder? Who here is a founder? I know many of you, but for those who I don't, come say hi. We got cloud credits, we got health insurance, we got capital management software, the aforementioned shoulders to cry on, very comfortable. Yeah, we're just here to provide support and open up our network. So I'm very excited to be back at Founders Live. It's been 15, 18 months? Too long. So yeah, very excited to see you all. For those who, it's been too long, good to see you again. For those who I'm meeting tonight, good to meet you. And as always, the presenters get free memberships, priceless. And for the rest of you, come talk to me. You will also get free memberships. So what a time. Yeah, so come say hi. Amelia, thank you for taking the plunge and getting us back into networking. I'm very excited to see the pitches tonight. Very excited to see you all. We're back at it, and go Kraken.
Woo. All right. So Bill, now CFO. Now CFO is your one-stop shop for number-related things. I'm sure that Bill will expand on that.
Yes, thank you. Number-related things that, accounting, not always the most exciting thing to talk about. So really, Dave mentioned, sometimes life happens, when you're an entrepreneur, you're a founder, and things get in the way, and maybe your business doesn't take off the way that you expect it to. As we're here, the first live Founders Live in 16 months, we could probably think about some things that have happened that might have prevented your business from succeeding the way you wanted to. What Now CFO provides is visibility into what your business is doing from a financial perspective. So if you want to understand your business, why are you failing? Why are you succeeding? What are the things that are important to you? We can offer that visibility to you. It takes the form of a lot of different things. It's CFO services, it's bookkeeping services, capital raise support. So whatever that might be, Now CFO can support you. And we are super excited to be back in front of people and in person. And we want to see your business succeed. So I'd love to talk to you after the event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Now CFO is awesome. Morgan's over there. Talk to her too. Next, let's hear from Troy with Bernstein.
Thanks, Amelia. So for those of you who don't know Bernstein, we are a global wealth management and investment research firm. I'm here because this is a big part of the community that I serve. One, I'm a former founder. I failed and learned a lot, Dave, as you mentioned. And this is a great group. I mean, Dave and Bill and Nick and Morgan. I can't believe that everyone is here, and it's so great to be part of this community again. So thank you. So Bernstein, we're renowned for our investment research. And so as a founder, if you're looking for research about what's in your market, what's happening, let us know. I'm a free resource, by the way. My job is to get to know the entrepreneurs, help you grow. Could be someone access to our network, which is incredible, whether you need an attorney, whether you're looking for funding, whether you need a good accountant, whatever. We have a really big network, and so I'm a resource for you. I hope to add value. I'm a big believer in karma. So at the end of the day, when you have built this great successful company, and if I've added any value and you're getting ready to take it public or you're getting ready to sell it, you'll remember me, and we help plan around all those things to help make money meaningful for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Troy. Thanks for being here and being a supporter. All right, up next, we're going to hear from the Snoqualmie Casino. They are a huge supporter of Founders Live Seattle, and we are going to patch them in virtually. Are you guys ready? Ready?
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for being here, Takako.
Thank you. So my name's Takako Bright, and I'm calling in from Snoqualmie Casino. And I'm actually at the Snoqualmie Depot. This is one of our stops for an exciting dining event we have that's completely sold out. But if you're a food lover, go to CasinoCasino.com. There are still tickets available for Captivate, a meal to to delight the senses. And welcome back live entertainment. Our Mountain View Plaza is going to be open for August 13th, featuring Skid Row, August 14th for Austin Jenkins, and then we have a smoked pig cigar barbecue coming up from Lit Lounge, also in August. And for something completely brand new coming in November, we're going to have sumo, sake, and sushi located in the ballroom. So you can get tickets for all of these events at snowcasino.com. Again, Snoqualmie Casino is proud to be a sponsor for Founders Live.
Melissa Reeves of Story Fruition.
Thank you, and let's give it up to Amelia and Luis, who is over here working his tails off. All right, you guys, this is really fun. So I feel like I have one of the coolest jobs at Founders Live. I'm the pitch coach. So every single one of these fantastic presenters, we have worked for the last couple of weeks, and they have 99 seconds to show all of you how they're going to change the world. And we're doing it in a non-traditional way. It's not going to be your slides that are a bunch of data slides that problem and solution and graphs and lots of that. We're going to show you through narrative. And so they're going to share their stories and how they are going to solve those problems through their solutions. So I'm super excited. So I really have a lot of power because I'm the only one that knows the content. And I'm also going to be your timer. So they are really used to me saying, okay, you're going to get introduced, and then we're going to start timing as soon as you start talking. And they have 99 seconds. So I will be back there. I will flash when you have 10 seconds, and then I will flash when you have 5 seconds, and I will hold up my hand, and I will 4, 3, 2, 1. So they're going to see me back there. Wish them luck, you guys. Pay attention to their story. Pay attention also to their deck, because the deck should be supporting their story and not upstaging them. So I'm really proud of every single one of them, and I just love Founders Live. Yay!
Thank you so much, Melissa, for being here. Okay, so a couple quick ground rules. Let's run through. If this is your first time at Founders Live, don't worry. I'm going to tell you what's going on. So we are going to see if we can get the tech to cooperate. No worries. Let's give a round of applause for Luis. He's running all of the tech on this.
Yeah. And all that. Here we go.
Yes, we did it. All right. So if you are watching at home or on the beach or somewhere fantastic from your computer, go ahead and like this video for us so that we can make sure that we can find it later. We just heard from Dave Parker, and we are going to tell you about Founders Live just real quick. So Founders Live is all about inspiration, education, entertainment. We have a global reach with a local community. So we have a founderslive.com, the homepage of the modern entrepreneur. We have monthly live events in Seattle. So hundreds of audience members. We have lots of people streaming home. We have an almost packed room here. 5 companies. They each get 99 seconds, 4 minutes of audience Q&A. So guys, get ready. And then you vote. So people in this room, people watching at home, you get to decide the winner. From there, the winner of the Seattle events goes up against the other North America events. And then we have a global final in the fall. So whoever wins here today has the chance to go on to a global stage. So your vote matters. Make sure you count who you're voting for. So we are trying to bring the Seattle culture around the world. It started in Seattle, and we're here for all of the rest of the cities. Just like Dave said, you know, Seattle is kind of at the front. We're trying to bring up Portland and Austin, and all the other entrepreneurs so that we can really create a global community. So you're here for performance, competition, networking. So Founders Live Seattle, it started in Seattle, and we are taking it across the globe. So Founders Live is in 60 cities globally. If you are watching online and want to start a Founders Live in your city, reach out to me, reach out to Nick Hughes. They're popping up all over the world. So Founders Live has 4 core values. This is one of the reasons that I kept coming back to Founders Live, because I love the community and I love what it's based on. So first one, we include everyone. Open the door for others. I love Dave's question, who are you mentoring who doesn't look like you? So next event, we're doing these monthly, invite someone, make sure that they come along, and really help us spread the word. Founders Live Seattle tends to have female winners. We just skew that way, you know? We'll see what happens tonight. No pressure, but we really are here to make sure that everyone gets a chance to tell their story. So other core values, gather around the campfire, right? We're all storytellers. That story is such a human connection. So that's what we're here for. Tell your story, listen to others, come around and light that flame of entrepreneurship. Open the door for others. If you have had success, make sure that you're giving it back to the person who's a chapter behind you or just the beginning. So if you are at the end of your entrepreneurial career, figure out who you're mentoring. If you're early, find some friends to learn from. This is why we all come together. No name tags. This is one of my favorite things. We're all friends. If you don't already know someone, introduce yourself, right? We're here to not be awkward, exchange business cards, but we're here to really have an authentic connection. So one last thing, go ahead. If you're watching online, like this video, share it out. If you are anywhere in the world, put it on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, make sure other people can watch these awesome pictures that we're gonna have come through. So thanks again to our awesome sponsors, The Collective, WTIA, now CFO, Bernstein, Snoqualmie Casino, and of course, Story Fruition. Okay, are you guys ready? Yes. Are you guys ready? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna have 5 companies. They're gonna come up, they each get 99 seconds. Melissa is timing and she is very strict. That's why she's doing it, I'm too nice. So we will have 5 companies. First up, we are going to have Bright. At the end, after you've watched everyone pitch, then you're gonna vote for your winner. No voting yet. I know that some of you have friends that you think you're gonna vote for, but I've seen it switch, so. First up, are you guys ready? Yes, okay, we have Dmitry from Bright. Hurry up and wait while I adjust this. Just make sure that you're standing
In front of the camera, right?
in front of the camera.
And the clicker. All right. All right. Ready? Great. Hello, everyone. I'm Dmitry, CEO of Bright. We are a turnkey SaaS platform that helps after-school educators to manage their businesses and engage their students. Meet our customer, Anne, an owner of an after-school academy. The core of her business is having an engaging curriculum and delivering it to her students. Anne was very busy, spending most of her day managing operational tasks, struggling to find time to dedicate to curriculum development and improving learning experience. She started losing customers and had a hard time attracting new ones. In 2021, Anne was introduced to Bright. She quickly set up her academy administration tools, explored our carefully sourced and curated content marketplace, and with the flip of a switch, she started delivering new, engaging experience the same week. Her credibility started to improve, and her students now can't wait to come back for classes because her learning experience is just remarkable. Technological literacy nowadays is just as important as reading and writing 100 years ago. But unfortunately, over 80% of US public schools don't have any technological curriculum. And parents, to bridge this gap, seek help of after-school educators, spending over $20 billion a year on after-school education. Bright went live September 2020, and as of today, we have 41 customers, including 5 franchisors that have multiple locations around the world. Before starting Bright, co-founders worked together at Amazon Education and previously launched Group.
It goes so quickly. Okay, we have 4 minutes of Q&A. What questions do we have for Dmitry? My first question, I'm up here, so I get to go first. What does success look like for you 1 year from now?
Well, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to positively influence 100,000 educators around the world. Could it be in a year? Very possible. But we set a goal for 5 years.
All right. Nick, come up with your question.
So there are a lot of competitors in this space. Obviously, it's a very
crowded space.
People need this right now. So what differentiates there it is, you from your competitors?
Well, we think that our main competitor would be someone like Clever, right, who provides single sign-on to educational applications. But majority of our competitors, other competitors, they have a pretty closed ecosystem. It's their tools, their kind of their content, their experience. While educators need more open ecosystem where they have access to variety of tools, variety of content, variety of experiences, and on top of that, they need the ability to track that, and that's exactly what we provide. Our main value proposition to our customers is that we help them to tap into new audiences and attract more students. And also we help them to retain their students for a longer period of time. And that what differentiates us from everybody else.
Thanks. Okay, Gary, what's your question?
So clearly this works great for K through 12, right?
Correct.
What about for, say, adult learning or business education or personal development education? Would it work for something like that?
So for, we can't be everything to everyone, right? For adult education, there are great companies like Coding Dojo, General Assembly, Code Fellows, right? We're good at what we do, at educating kids, and we don't want to be just good, we want to be exceptional. And that's why we want to focus on kids and building that legacy.
Bob, what's your question?
So part of your model is to have a curriculum marketplace.
Correct.
What makes a curriculum engaging to kids, and what makes engagement more effective?
Thanks, great question. Well, one thing that I didn't get an opportunity to say is that we actually used to run our own Kids Coding Academy in the past. We launched it, we grew it, and we successfully sold it later. So besides great Amazon education experience, we had a first-hand experience of our current customers right now. And the biggest piece about after-school education is that kids don't want to go to school after school. They want to do something fun, engaging. It has to be hands-on project, and for parents, it needs to be educational too, right? So there's a lot that goes into that content to be suitable for the after-school setting. You can't give a kid a textbook and say, read chapter 5 and do exercise 3, 2, and 7. They're gonna start hating you. So again, it needs to be engaging, it needs to be fun, it needs to be hands-on and provide some kind of like a complete project, something that they can share with their friends and show off. As sad as it is, 10 years ago, you get bullied in the school for not being good at sports. Nowadays, you get bullied for not being good at playing Fortnite. And when somebody comes to school and say, I'm a game developer, I build the game in Minecraft myself, you become on a different level already. So game development is the new thing nowadays. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Melissa, would you have time for one more? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to jump in unless someone else does. Okay. So what happens, what's the trajectory of the kids who use your platform? Like, what does it prepare them to do next?
Basically, it sets them up to on a path to be technologically literate, right? For example, nowadays, some of the most popular jobs nowadays did not exist 10, 15 years ago, right? And even if we take somebody like financial analyst, you need to know how to use Python to mine your data, and you need to understand how programming language works, Python particularly, right? So it doesn't really matter what path you want to go, even if you say 10 years from now, you know what? I don't want to be engineer. I don't want to be developer. I don't want to be game developer. You still have the programming gives you logic, problem solving, critical thinking skills that are vital for, for the workplace of the future.
Excellent. Thank you. That is all the time that we have. Congratulations, Dmitry. Way to go, Bright. Okay, next up, we have Juan from Lalo. Yeah, give it up.
So it's 18 years after my father's death. I'm standing at his grave in Lexington, Kentucky with my family who's here today. My wife turns to me and says, Juan, tell us a story about your dad. And I have nothing. At that moment, I realized that when someone passes away, you not only lose them physically, but you lose their stories, their recipes, and sometimes pretty bad dad jokes. Unfortunately, over 50 million people in the US every year lose someone close to them. And like me, they struggle to preserve those memories. An old shoebox with pictures, a voicemail that they leave on a phone, but it's just not enough. So today I'm introducing to you Lalo. It's a solution for preserving family memories. So for $25 a year, you can share your memories using video, audio, text. We have conversation prompts to help you start those conversations, and you can capture special moments through our video chat. We have a great team, over 50 years experience from big companies like Amazon, LinkedIn, and Netflix, and small companies, startups. Steve, Avik, myself, we've been working diligently for the last 6 months, and we have traction. So the Perlin Institute of Loss has just agreed to distribute our app through 1,500 therapists. We have over 2,000 followers on social media, and our sign-up list is over 200 people, again, scheduled for our beta launch in late August. Where we need help, money, $150K for 5% equity, for engineering and marketing resources, and we're always looking for more help on our beta. Thank you.
Awesome, great work. So if you're ready to ask a question, just come up on this end. My first question, I feel like I've heard about similar ideas from other applications. What makes yours different, and why is it going to be more successful?
Yeah, great question. So I looked extensively at a lot of different companies that have tried different angles. And I think as I kind of researched all of the different companies out there, there were 3 points that I saw in different applications, but not all together. And so those 3 things are, one, the social aspect of this. So it's not like, hey, grandma, I'm giving you a homework assignment. Thank you so much. We're going to do this together as a community. The second is a diverse set of media. So some folks are audio only, some are text only. We're allowing folks to share those memories however they want within the app or upload it from their device. And the third piece is broader accessibility. So a lot of folks are, just mobile, just iOS. We're going to have Android, iOS, and eventually a web app as well.
Awesome. Oh, cool. Nick, come on up.
I recently heard that everybody does.
That's true. Our consultants told us that.
You have good consultants.
Thank you.
So what is it that, why would someone want to participate in something like this? Yeah, well, that's the question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so it doesn't only have to be for folks that have experienced loss, although I think So for example, the Portland Institute of Loss, who agreed to disseminate this through their network of therapists, this is work that they do today, right? To make sense of loss, of grief, through stories, through picture collages. And so this is work that they already do extensively with their patients or clients. For folks like me, everyday folks, I've talked to a lot of people. I think the timing right now, especially with the pandemic, death, unfortunately, is kind of part of our daily lives. And so that ability, before you lose someone, to capture their story, I think is very compelling. We've also run some ads on Facebook, Google, etc., and we've seen it resonates with those audiences. And it also, surprisingly, it wasn't surprising to Dave, but it resonates also with folks that are about to get married. So this story of like capturing memories, preserving your life story, these big major life events. Not that marriage is like death. I'm not saying that.
Single guys, death and marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there is a need.
Yeah, the Dan Savage, come on up.
Okay, so you actually just mentioned marriages and like your whole life story. So the question I have is, how is it really different than saving videos and posting stories on, say, Facebook or Instagram or whatever else? As long as those stories have been shared, they're available perpetually. So how do you differ from other social media platforms?
Yeah, great question. So one of the main kind of tenets that we had was around data privacy, no ads, not sharing data. And so the first step when you build your Lalo profile is to build that community of folks close to you. So we envision it as 5 to 10 people. So that's the first. And then the second is really, we've engineered a lot of the attributes and solutions to be optimized for long form storytelling. So deep, meaningful storytelling for a small, personal, intimate audience, versus social media is almost the opposite, like short bursts of information for everyone to see and everyone to comment on.
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. I have one more question. Sorry, Gary, I'll get to you next. My grandma is 97. She's not so good with technology. And I can imagine maybe taking this to her and sitting down with her. But how accessible is it for maybe some of our elderly family members?
Absolutely. And that was top of mind as we were designing this. So the first piece is timing wise, after the pandemic, I mean, our grandmothers were on Zoom, right? They were talking to their grandkids. So we know that there's been kind of an upskilling of digital fluency over the last 6 to 12 months. The second piece of that, though, is let's say grandma's not going to download the app, not going to go on the web app. We have features in place where you can have those conversations next to someone, use your phone as a microphone or whatever device that you want. But that certainly is something that we're thinking about.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm sorry, Gary, I'll get you next first. I had to ask about Mary Lou Felton, Thank you. Great work, Juan. All right, up next, we are going to hear from Patrick at Bandit Labs, and they are virtually joining us all the way from Vancouver, BC. That border still isn't open. So, Patrick, really excited to have you here. Please take it away whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Meet Rob. He's the chat support manager at a major retailer. He has a dozen new agents start every month at his contact center. A lot of them find it hard to keep up with multiple chats, how to respond to return requests, and regularly get one-star customer reviews. As you can guess, this stresses Rob, as his company's brand prides itself on exceptional customer service. Rob needs to make changes fast, and that's where Bandit comes in. We have developed chat prediction and interpretability technology that gives some of the deepest insights into customer and agent behavior and what influences customer experience. With our analytics, Rob starts seeing all the weak spots in his one-star agents, right down to the words, phrases, and semantics that cause unhappy customers. With these insights, Rob starts training and coaching his agents. Now, customer reviews are up 70%, agent turnover is down, and he's turned his one-star agent into 5-star super agents. But don't take my word for it. We recently won the Best B2B award at this year's Dempsey Startup Competition. We are in talks with Clio and Canada Goose, who love our first product and where we have estimated nearly $1 million in annual savings on agent training and Q&A. I built an all-star team, a brilliant engineer as a co-founder, and head of business development with 7 years of experience at Lululemon's contact center. Contact center analytics represent a $23 billion market with a compounding annual growth rate of 16%. We're building Bandit as a direct sales B2B SaaS startup based in Vancouver, Canada. We just launched at the start of July, and we're looking for investors and help with first customers. If you want to be part of our vision, where contact centers are no longer seen as cost centers, but customer insight centers, please get in touch. Thank you.
Gary, do
This gonna have to do some muting. All right. Nick's gonna have to figure the.
Hello, everyone. What's going on? Hey, Patrick, can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear. There's a little bit of reverb in the other one.
Patrick, and I hope everyone can hear me. Hey, I'm jumping in here to say hi, and let's address some questions here. We had some feedback loops going on, and hey, we're just testing all this out. So, Patrick, tell us a little bit more about this vision. Where was this born? Where did this come from?
It actually came out of my master's thesis research. So I'm a comp sci student at UBC up in Vancouver. And I was looking for a project for my master's thesis, which involved like big data, natural language processing, and people. And I kind of dove head deep into like the contact center space and after a lot of like qualitative research, I discovered that like there was like this need that was repetitive throughout contact centers, and that kind of led me to just like form a research partnership, develop the technology, and now that's where we are here.
Got it. And so who would be your initial target market as you go to market? Who are you looking for to get this seeded in? And what specific markets are you looking to target?
So for kind of like our beachhead, we're looking at mainly like SaaS companies and like high-end retail, essentially companies that pride themselves on like exceptional customer service because they know the long-term value of their customers and have a reoccurring revenue model, because long-term customers are what you need to make that work.
Got it. If you were going to ask one thing from the audience tonight, what would you like from the audience or people watching? Is there one thing that you're looking for help-wise, or in introductions to different companies, investors? What would you say you're looking for?
It would definitely be introductions to the Seattle angel scene. That would be amazing. So if any of you know local angels, please shoot me an email. It would be really appreciated. Coming over from the border, it's a new space.
Got it. Hey, and all right, so we are gonna try one more time, everyone. Amelia, get ready. I'm gonna try to bring you in for a question from the audience there physically. And Patrick, I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna unmute and bring in Amelia. Let's see if this works. All right, let's bring in Amelia. And Amelia, can you hear me? All right, you can hear me. I can't hear you. Yeah, unfortunately we're just trying a few too many things here. We're learning. Patrick, I'm going to bring in one more question for you. And from what are you looking for? Anything like are you raising money? Are you looking for investment? Or are you really looking for just help in introductions and maybe some target customers?
Yeah, so beginning of July, we essentially started our pre-seed raise. So we are looking to raise $600K, and we're looking for introductions to, like I said, local angels in the Seattle area or along the Pacific Northwest in general. And in terms of first customers, that would be amazing. Like an introduction to like a manager at a contact center, say like Nordstrom's or something, or one of their VPs. That would go a long way.
Great. Got it. Okay. So Patrick, thank you so much with Bandit Labs coming in from Vancouver, BC. And hey, we achieved this. We learned a few lessons here tonight, and thanks for being a trooper and being a part of this. So enjoy your night. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
We'll get it. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Are we back?
Yeah. Go for it.
We are back. You guys are in cutting edge technology right now. This is the hybrid IRL virtual mashup. So now you can tell all of your friends when they're like, should I do an in-person event? You'd be like, it's awesome. The tech is hard. Good thing we have a Luis. All right. We have 2 more companies to hear from. Next up, we have Louisa from Scout 9.
Okay. Ready? So thank you. I want to start with telling you a story about Mia and Sky. I'm sure all of you have a similar story. So Mia had dogs growing up, and she's like, I got this. I'm going to adopt this dog. It's going to be great. Pretty soon, Sweet Sky has turned into Snappy Sky, and she really doesn't know what to do. So she does what we all do. She goes online, and she finds advice that is not relevant to Sky, sponsored blogs, and conflicting information. So all she wants is something for her dog. Enter Scout 9, where after entering her dog's breed, age, behavior, activity level, she gets real-time access to information that would help her with the problem she has. For example, she gets a meetup for parents that have Shibas that have the same problem, a nearby behaviorist, or the ability to watch YouTube videos that have been verified for content that uses positive reinforcement, which she wants for her dog. So what we're building, we're pretty early stage, and we want to build this community of dog lovers who are willing to give us their dog data, and by anonymizing it, we can sell it to the producers that service this industry to help them build better and safer products for dogs. We're the perfect team to do this. You saw Patrick earlier, but we know how to build meaningful products. We've helped launch startups, and we have a deep understanding of canine well-being. I'm one of the world's only designers with a PhD in animal-computer interaction. So help us keep tails wagging and vote for Scout 9. Thank you.
Great job. So, take this. I get the first question. I already mentioned to you, I am a dog mom.
Yeah.
My bulldog Chunk I adopted in December, and he's a bit more of a handful than I had expected. So we've been going to personal training classes. How is the cost structure of this compared to any, other solutions like a dog trainer or things like that?
So we're not necessarily competing with these services because they know what they're doing. But what the Scout app could offer you is the ability to be consistent in the advice you're getting. So I would liken your meeting with the behaviors with like going to a nutritionist. It's like, here's the diet. Do you follow it or don't you? So Scout 9 can also be like an accountability buddy, helping you be like, hey, you're supposed to do this. And with dogs, if you're not consistent, nothing you do will work. So that's kind of the in there.
So it's like a tracker for dog training. Very cool.
It's kind of like a tracker for tracking you.
That's what I learned at dog training classes. We don't train the dog, you train the person to interact with the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will check that out more. Nick, do you have a question?
Someone with an ill-behaved dog. Well, it's not completely relevant to that, but so how does this scale? I know that a lot of times you have the expertise that can be imparted into the dog. So how does this scale beyond you and the founding team?
So it scales because similar to kind of babies, someone's been here before. Someone with a bulldog, not named Chunk, but similarly, has had something like this, or like your dog. So it's a kind of dual prong approach where we do start imparting this deep knowledge I've gained through years, but there's also a community of best practices to build out there. And based on that, it helps make it more individual to your dog because you don't necessarily want to know what did all the other bulldogs in the world do. And I'm using your dog as an example. But it's like, what did bulldogs in Seattle that have this kind of life, that have this activity level, that have this kind of routine do? And that'll make you trust that advice quicker.
So which of the 14 revenue models are you using? Or to cut to the chase, how do you make money?
So we are starting as a freemium service, but we have thought that there might be some content that gets uber specific. So if you really have a problem, then we charge a subscription. So it's this, again, like a dual way to make sure we're making some revenue while we build up that community because we know it's a long-term play.
Thanks. Gary?
Is Melissa going to cut me off?
Probably not. We'll see how long you talk for.
That's great. How do you, there's so many dog breeds and everything, no matter how much of an expert you are, how do you get all of this data?
So the good thing is that, so our relationship with dogs is 12,000 years old. So as humans, we've been studying dogs for a long time. And in the last 5 years, the amount of dog-related research has gone up by like 200%. So there's dog cognition labs, there's dogs going in MRI machines. So we now have the ability to scan that research and really identify a baseline for breeds. And then based on the information you give us about your dog, then we can see where you deviate from that baseline and really make it relevant to your unique dog, because my hypothesis is that breeds might not be the way to slice and dice dogs, but it's the way we do so now.
Got it. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. We have time for probably one more question if someone has, or I'll keep talking about Chunk. So, Louisa, what does Scout 9 look like at scale?
So at scale, basically, Scout 9 is pet parenting. So when you think about anything to do with your dog, Scout 9 would be your first point of entry. Should I go to the vet or not? Let me see what the Scout says. Should I get this product or not? Let me see what the Scout says. And it'll orient you to a way that then your next step is a lot more kind of, you know what you're doing a little bit more. So really, the ultimate mission is to help humans make better decisions on their dog's behalf.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. That's all the time we have for. Thank you from me and from Chunk. Okay, last but not least, we have Rosalinda from Mosel Mezcal.
We are two sisters born in Yakima and daughters of farm worker immigrants from Michoacan, Mexico, a region known for its incredible mezcal. And at Mosel, we are excited to help establish a mezcal culture in the U.S. that considers the 400 years of artisanship and the way it brings people together. Today, who is drinking and how they're drinking is changing. There is an emerging conscious consumer that's more diverse and seeks connection with other people and the products they consume. But when looking to celebrate with an ultra-premium artisanal spirit, our only options are men drinking alone in a leather couch. This is where Mosel Mezcal comes in. Mosel is inviting all of you to the celebration. We've created an inclusive brand that you will be proud to share with others. This fall 2021, you can purchase an artisanal spirit online to create a shared tasting experience. Mosel is distilled in 400-year-old traditional methods, only using 2 ingredients, 100% agave and water. And we can deliver to 30 states, and we will also be available at limited bars and restaurants. We have the sales and marketing expertise to bring this to market, including working at Starbucks and IBM. And our ask today are two things. One is introductions to beverage directors at these wonderful organizations. And two is if you're an investor who wants to partner in changing the face of beverage alcohol and inspire connection, connect with me. Thank you.
Excellent. Right on time. Thank you. Maybe the collective. I feel like we might know someone. Nick, you can get the first question this time. Come on up.
This is a very easy one, but also talking about cameras, and I can help you out. Where do we get it?
Yes, so talk about trying to launch a product during the time of COVID. That was the best time to learn about supply chain for sure. So we will be launching in the fall of 2021, and you'll be able to purchase directly from our website at moselmezcal.com, and we will deliver it to your home. So thank you. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, of course.
Adam, come on up.
So after starting my career as a bartender in LA at a gourmet Mexican restaurant, perhaps you could help share the difference between mezcal and I hear another type of distilled alcohol out of Mexico that's almost as famous as mezcal. Could you please explain some of the differences that don't involve worms?
Yes, yes. So a lot of people, well, a couple things. So that's a very good question and so many layers to it. So a lot of people, when they hear about mezcal, they're like, oh, it's the one with the worm in it. And actually, that was just a marketing gimmick to try to get Americans, across the border to be like, cool, like this is a cool bottle and bring it home. But one of the differences, there's a couple differences between mezcal and tequila. So technically, tequila is mezcal because it's the distilled agave. However, tequila is just from blue agave. And the way that it is produced today now, it's very modernized. So if you were to go to a tequila distillery, you'd see a lot of stainless steel and so forth. Whereas mezcal, one of the really incredible things about it is that the way that it is made today is the same way it was made 400 years ago. So specifically in Michoacan, where our family is from, the distillation process there is essentially they get the agave, they cook it in an underground pit, they roast it, and then after after it's cooked, you mash it, and then you put it in this fermentation wooden vats. And then after that, you distill it, and specifically in Michoacan, we use a wooden hat, whereas in Oaxaca, they use bricks. So there's little differences, and that's why the flavors vary. Also, the agave varietals are very different as well. So, thank you.
So our next question comes from our online audience. We have a question from Ryan. Thanks for jumping in, Ryan. Do you share manufacturing facilities or do you own your own?
So we are part of a mezcal co-op in Michoacan, where we are partners with mezcal producers and agave growers, and we share the facilities as part of this co-op. So,
cool. Come on up, Adam. Matt, thanks for being here.
So with obviously bars not being as open as you'd like, how do you spread the word and get people to actually buy it online?
Yes. So our strategy, our customer acquisition strategy to target our customers involves both offline and online activities. So on the offline, that's why we are targeting specific bars and restaurants. We will be first launching here in the Seattle area. And the idea is because usually at bars and restaurants, that's where customers a lot of times get first introduced to mezcal, and it'll help with customer trial. As far as the online activities is driving customers online, is really we're doing two things. Is one is enlisting influencers, and by influencers, I'm not necessarily talking about like just social media influencers, but really influencers in the local community. So entrepreneurs, bartenders, and hosting mezcal tastings, and then they would post about Mosel in their social media networks and engage their followers. And then the second way is through creating content, online content to drive website traffic, because there's an education that needs to happen to get people to really appreciate mezcal and everything it has to offer. Thank you.
That is all the time Melissa said. So congratulations, that was great. Okay, one more huge round of applause for all 5 of these founders. Woo! So impressed by what they put together. So now it's your turn. You vote. You can scan the QR code with your phone or go to seattlevoting.founderslive.com. You will see the 5 presenters. Enter who you vote for. We will come back in about 5-ish minutes to announce the winner. While you guys are getting your votes in, make sure to check out the incredible masks that we have over in How to Make a Nation. Dave Parker's book, he might be able to still sell a couple copies. He hasn't sold out already. Or definitely check out the Ally League Black Box. Dave, I'm going to use you as an example. We can buy your book for $20 and give $20 to a guy named Dave. We can buy the Ally League box and give $20 each to 5 different Black founders. So put your money where your mouth is. Make sure to support all of the entrepreneurs we have today. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Get your votes in. Thanks.
I hear a little something. Sorry, no, do your thing. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
I need a full cloud credits and I'll announce right now. And then they'll do it.
Are we ready? That is a trick that I learned from Brianna McDonald. It works every time. All right, so are you guys ready to hear the winner? We're gonna 1 minute. Quick reminder though, every single founder here today is a winner. They get
personal coaching with Melissa. They get cloud credits, AWS credits, plus Google Cloud credits. So big thank you to Amazon and Google for sponsoring our founders and WTIA and all of our other sponsors. Really quick, we're going to hear from TriNet. If you guys have any HR staffing needs, they are the people to go to. In that email that allows you to get a free ticket to our next event. We'll be back here in August. So check your email, watch the TriNet video. Make sure you're here back with us next month. All right. Can we have like a pretty dramatic drum roll? Okay, and our winner is Rosalinda Mezcal. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what is the next step for you and Mosel.
Yes, so we are in the thick of it, getting ready to launch this fall. I will be leaving to Mexico at the beginning of August to oversee the bottling because we'll be importing our first batch into the US, and I can't wait for you all to try it. So you can go to our website at moselmezcal.com, and if you want to be notified when the first small batch of artisanal mezcal arrives, we will notify you. And also we just launched our Instagram account, Mosel Mezcal, and there you'll start to see a lot of really great content so that you can really see and appreciate the process in the way that we produce our mezcal. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rosalinda. And congratulations again to Mosel. And if you voted for a company that wasn't Mosel, make sure you go and high-five them and connect with them. Part of what we're doing here is just collaboration, connection, support. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in virtually. Thank you for making the trek down to a real person event. We're gonna hang out here for about 20 or 30 minutes, grab one more drink, meet some people. And then Gary, what are we doing after? What are we doing? So if you don't know Gary, he is the appointed after party czar. So Gary, what's our after party?
We're going to Sam's Tavern.
Nice.
So let's hope that all of the presenters tonight come over there, and it's a chance to get to know them and talk to them a little bit more, and everybody else, and do some more networking.
Yeah. So
Sam's Tavern.
So we're going to be here for about 20 or 30 minutes. Make sure that you get yourself a black box. Remember, $20 to dip 5 different black founders. Give $20 to Dave. Give a couple dollars to the How to Make a Nation folks. And huge thank you to the collective, to Luis.
Yes,
and big hello to Nick Hughes. Hope you like tuning in. We'll see you soon. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you back next month.
And a round of applause for Amelia.
And for the audience, you guys are the best.
Yes. You fucking awesome.
You're so good. You're so good.
You're so good.
Pretty good.